everyone, Carlos here. So back to the tech briefs. Sorry for the delay. I've actually changed roles inside of TrustedSec, and I now lead the incident response team inside of TrustedSec. So it has been a busy month for me. So let's get back to the tech briefs. So let's start first with the vulnerabilities that are being exploited throughout this month of October. So far, we have Veam Backup Replicator, which is CVE 2024 40711, and it has a CVSS score of 9.8. It's an authentication bypass. This vulnerability is actually being exploited by ransomware crews, and this vulnerability was actually reported, and the patch came out in September 4, and it's still being exploited widely out there. And this one's a pet peeve. I have to admit that I'm a bit biased on this one. It is that I have had conversations with multiple customers, and when we're talking about backup systems, normally what they tell me is like, oh, we don't worry about our backup systems. We're secure. Our vendor told us that we should have nothing to worry about. Our vendor actually told us that these backups are immutable, and we've configured it that way. But then when we start looking at how it was configured, we see gaps that were not reported. We see that the fiber channel switches are not secure. We see that nobody's monitoring those LUNs to see if somebody's going in and modifying stuff. We have actually seen actors go into the fiber channel switches, enumerate all of the LUNs, find the worldwide names of that storage LUN, and just go in and delete it directly from there, from the storage unit. We've seen them all go all the way into Azure and start deleting storage blobs. So yeah, backups are important, and it's something that we do need to take a bit more seriously out there and not trust so much what the vendors are telling us. It is trust, but verify is the approach that I want to get to. Now, the next one, following all of the edge devices being exploited out there, we have Sonicwall. So Sonicwall disclose and patch an improper access control vulnerability in its firewall products. And it is CVE 2024 40766. Now, this one has a CVSS score of 9.3. It was actually patched in August 22nd, and it is actively being exploited in October by ransomware crews. This is, as I've mentioned before, edge devices are a very big target for attackers. And one of the things that actually bothers me a bit is that as I'm working with the incident response team and we're growing and we're talking with customers and we're seeing how everything's set up, we see perfect EDR products, properly configured, properly tested, SIMs deployed, logs being ingested from desktop servers. Awesome. Then we go to the edge, which is the actual one exposed to the internet radiation out there, the ones that are getting attacked on a daily basis by everybody and their mother. And yeah, nobody's ingesting those logs. Inventory's not properly done. We're seeing also that restarts, shutdowns are not logged, reboots are not logged, configuration changes are not logged. Practically nothing's logged. It's not being configured, and that is your device that is exposed to the internet. That is the device that, as I mentioned, in the internet radiation, all of those attacks, all of those worms, it's getting hit by all of that, but they're not being taken seriously. And throughout this year, if you look at all of the previous tech briefs, I've actually talked a lot about Ivanti, Sonicwall, Ivanti, Fortinet. They're being attacked. They're being attacked a lot. Actually, just as I started inside of the incident response team, I had 2 incidents come in through this type of devices. So yeah, it's popular. And yet I see that security teams are not taking them as seriously as they should. There's an over focus on the server and over focus on the client machines. And sometimes even cloud is now starting to get a bit more attention, but still everything that is on the edge, still being ignored, still not being taken care of. But now we're going to the next one that I see a lot being abused out there, and that is vCenter server. This one has a remote code execution bug, CVE 2024-3812. Now, this one's being exploited, and it was reported in June of this year to VMware, and they issued a patch, and they've told everybody to patch this. Now, as I'm talking with a lot of customers that have vCenter, that we do pen tests that we do, red team engagements, and I see that they haven't patched vCenter, but at the same time, I see a lot of incident response affecting it. I start thinking about the system itself. Why? Why are you not patching vCenter? And it's not that they don't want to patch vCenter, it's that they are suffering from the problem of VM sprawl. A lot of VMs throughout all of the infrastructure in their vCenter environments inside of their ESXIs, and to shut down part of that for patching both ESXIs and vCenters, that means an impact on operation that is very seriously, because a lot of those VMs are going to be affected. There's no redundancy, because as VMs started getting added, that redundancy that was supposed to be there was lost. And now any patch is a big impact. But I do ask, please, please do patch at least vCenter, the management side of that. Keep it on a separate network if you can. I know it's a bit troublesome to go through a jump server, but if your organization is mature enough and you're able to have a jump server for management of networking devices, storage devices, include vCenter inside of there, because if you're putting your domain controllers inside of those ESXi servers, your vCenter admin kind of like has the same privileges as a domain admin. So do think about that. Do take that into account. Another vulnerability that we're seeing that is being widely exploited out there is Microsoft Sharepoint, CVE 2024-38094. This is an RCE vulnerability that is being actively exploited. Again, patches came out. People have Sharepoints out there to the internet. They're not patching it. Anything that is exposed out in your perimeter is going to be a prime target. This is why it's important that as you're doing all of your inventory, you also do discovery of what is your exposure out there to the internet. What is your attack surface? I know there's a keyword, a buzzword that's used by many vendors, but it's true. It's your attack surface. It's that surface that attackers attacked. So do keep that in mind as you're exposing all of these devices, and make sure that you have your management interfaces out to the world. And now we have another repeat, Fortinet with their FortiManager. This one hurts because I have friends at Fortinet. I know that they work very hard to make sure that stuff is secure, and there have been a lot of vulnerabilities. And this one hurts because it took them over 10 days to actually acknowledge that there was a problem. The vulnerability came out with FortiManager. It was being exploited in the wild. There were Reddit posts, there were tweets. People were going like, hey, this is being exploited. We see attackers getting into the FortiManager itself, being able to enumerate all of the certificates, all of the tokens for the devices. Then they have access to those devices after enumeration. This is something serious, and it took Fortinet quite a while to address this one. Now it's addressed. There's a patch for it, and you can patch it. Your FortiManager just patched to the latest version of it. But it took a while for the vendor to address this. And given the history of vulnerabilities that we have seen, they're getting to the point of identity when it comes to all of the CVEs that we're seeing out there. But it all boils down to, do you have a proper inventory of all of your edge devices? Do you have an idea of what is that attack surface that we have? And are you patching that? Now, working in the incident response team, one of the things that I see a lot is business email compromise. Even though we see all of this vulnerability for edge devices, and we see them get in and from there go over to their ESXIs and vCenters and encrypt everything there, we're seeing for every one of those like 3 or 4 business email compromise attacks where we're seeing attackers just do simple phishing, where the user just enter credentials into a website that looks like a valid one. We're also seeing them go after trusted sources, MSPs and SSPs. And once they get in there, they use that infrastructure, their SharePoint servers or their email servers themselves or the OneDrives, to then send phishing lures to everybody in a target organization that is a customer of that trusted source. And we're seeing that people are just going and authorizing applications by accident. So this is something that you should consider, and you should educate your users. Make sure that you have enabled multi-factor authentication. Make sure that key accounts are under at least E5 licensing for those key accounts, either in finance, IT administrators, and executive in your organization. So that will allow you to have the proper logs from Microsoft to be able to address these types of cases. We're seeing way too many business email compromise attacks out there. So yeah, I'm going to keep it short, and I hope that you guys like these tech briefs. We'll be doing them now, I would say, in a bi-weekly manner, given that with my new role, I'm kind of busy dealing with other stuff. But at the same time, this gives me the advantage of seeing what is out there, what is being currently exploited, and provide a bit more context inside of this tech briefs. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.